Welcome back to the Horror Academic and our daily doses going on here. Today's Tuesday, and my movie from yesterday proves that not all movies are great. We watched the Necronomicon Book of the Dead. Okay, so I bought this bootleg. Yes, it's a bootleg. It's not an official release. This is a movie I remember Fangoria talking about a lot in the 90s. One of those, like, they're behind the scenes a lot, they're talking it up, they're talking to the people involved, and there was a lot of hype, and then there's no movie, and it took a while for the movie to come out. And I guess it must have been like DVD, or I'm sorry, 93, so direct to video, at least in the States, because I don't remember hearing about it again. There was no theatrical, and it was very hard to find once it did come out. Apparently, so Jeffrey Combs is in this, Jeffrey Combs of Reanimator. And he was not happy with the results. He plays H.P. Lovecraft, which is kind of cool, right? The guy's in a lot of Lovecraft stories. Let's make him Lovecraft. Cool idea. He's like, but I don't look anything like Lovecraft. And then they did all this heavy makeup to make him look like Lovecraft, and he ended up looking more like Bruce Campbell. So that's just weird. And in the end, he's really just playing Lovecraft in these little wraparound bits, and the movie is an anthology stories, or a series of anthologies. Sorry. The movie is anthologies. So there's 3 stories, and the H.P. Lovecraft piece is just him visiting the museum that's housing the Necronomicon and, taking notes and feverishly writing story ideas. Which is cute enough, but the stories themselves are just okay. And here's the thing. There's a lot of big-name people who worked on this. It's a Brian Yuzna production. So Brian Yuzna, who also, he's the guy who made Reanimator and From Beyond, movies that I love. And they're all Lovecraft movies, so it's like, he loves Lovecraft. But it's a American-French co-release, so the 2 production companies working on it. I don't know the other 2 filmmakers who made the other 2 segments. Excuse me. And, there's some big names that show up. I took some notes here. So in the first story, you have Richard Lynch, who's in tons of movies and TV. I mean, I saw him and I was like, he looks familiar. Looking through his list, it's probably because of like Battlestar Galactica when I was a kid. He was one of the villains, I believe. Second story, you have David Warner. David Warner's in tons of great stuff. Big British actor. I mean, in Time Bandits, he's the bad guy. In Tron, he's the bad guy. He's one of those guys. He's in The Omen, like he's somebody I really like. The third story, which Yuzna did direct, is Don Calfa's in it. Now, come on, everybody knows I love Return of the Living Dead. It's got Don Calfa. That's cool. They're fun story ideas. The special effects are great, so the acting is good, the effects are good. Stories are fine. There's something about this movie that just doesn't hit the mark. I don't know what it is. I was bored. And maybe that's why it didn't get a theatrical release, is they knew they didn't hit the mark right. So I did a little bit of research, like why didn't this movie come out, and why wasn't it a big deal when it came out? Like why was it kind of pushed off? Sounds like they ran out of money somewhere in the middle of making the movie, but I guess they'd already spent the money on the effects, because those are good. Something about it, it's just okay. And I guess that was the problem. After so much hype for a movie to just be okay isn't awesome. I mean, it probably would have made a better TV series. Maybe I wouldn't have been as bummed out if it had just been a TV show. And they do kind of set it up like it almost could be like a series of stories of Lovecraft, stealing the Necronomicon and all this type of stuff. But, yeah, pretty big name cast, or at least, guest stars, I'll say. Decent stories, they feel Lovecraft, there's definitely one that has the, and then you wake up. And then you wake up, and then you wake up, which is like one of the biggest Lovecraft things to me, is that you're stuck in a nightmare and you can't wake up kind of thing. They have lots of stuff with fish people and, monsters that are aliens or sea creatures or ancient old ones. So it's got all those things. It's just not Creepshow or Tales from the Crypt or anything like that. It's just, it's alright. Do want to note though, aside from the big name people who are in the movie and the, Brian Yuzna being attached to it, they also put some money into the effects, like I said. I wanted to look up, like, okay, who did these effects? These are pretty good. So Savini was apparently the, how is he credited? He's the supervisor, the effects supervisor on the film. John Carl Breacher, who worked on tons of stuff, right? Like, he's big. and then Screaming Mad George. So there's good people. I don't know. So, like I said, French American production, maybe that partnership was too awkward and didn't work out. It seems like some people weren't English speaking when they made their segments, so maybe there was miscommunications with the directors. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just me. My husband felt the same way. He was like, "This should have been better, but it's not bad, so I don't know what's wrong." So we both kind of walked away with the same issue. So, I mean, if you think otherwise, if there's somebody out there who's like a big fan of this movie, let me know what I'm missing. But yeah, this one just was all right. Well, let's see what tomorrow brings. But thanks again for tuning in, and see you tomorrow. Bye.